Well, hello.
How have you been this month?
Straight to it.
Straight into it.
Well, April has been on only for a week because we're recording this on the first week of April.
Yeah, wild.
So what do you mean? March, April?
The month to date.
Month to date. Okay. I think it's been okay. Nothing crazy, nothing interesting. What about you?
Nothing crazy, nothing interesting on my part as well.
Wow, we're so crazy.
We're so interesting, I know. No, I think what is interesting in my life, we're getting a new couch tomorrow.
Ooh.
We went to IKEA on Saturday to test out different couches. And we chose the softest one because I realized that I spend a lot of my time on the couch because we have quite a small apartment. This makes me sound like such a lazy person. I spend most of my time on the couch. No, I move my body as well.
For clarification out there.
Yes. But yeah, I realized that our couch is really stiff and hard and like not comfortable. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't have any back pillows. It doesn't have any like bottom pillows. You've sat on it, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting a new one that has actual pillows on the back and on the bottom.
Okay. Is it L-shaped? Is it just
a two-seater?
Because two-seater.
The L shape wouldn't fit.
Yeah,
because we have a rocking chair.
Yeah.
And also we've been keeping it going with the dance classes as well.
Yeah. And that's you and me, not you and your partner.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. It's 6 weeks, 7 weeks of
6, I think.
Every Monday heels classes.
And
it's been great fun.
Yeah.
You told me you have a dance bug now.
Oh yeah, I've been infected.
Boogieing it down in your apartment.
I mean, I do like try to remember what we learned on Mondays. Because like, for example, yesterday, the lesson we had, class, whatever. We took the approach of like testing the choreo to different songs.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, maybe I should try some other songs to this choreo to see how it feels because it's fun.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I did really like that she, I guess, pointed out to the musicality parts that, you can, throw it down to Britney and you can throw it down to
Lana Del Rey.
That was a bit funky, but I liked it.
Yeah.
So we love our teacher. we love the classes.
Yeah,
it's great fun, and I'm happy that it's continuing on.
Yeah, until midsummer.
Yeah, and if anyone out there is wondering what are we talking about, what classes, where, then DM.
Yes,
because we're not doing public promo right now.
Yes, exactly. We need to keep the class on the hush because we already have a lot of people and very little room to dance around. I'm pretty sure I got smacked in the face by a hand one lesson. I think the lesson not yesterday, but the
hope
one
it wasn't
before.
me.
No, it wasn't you.
Okay, good.
I think it was someone else. But yeah, and then yesterday I touched someone's hand while we were like flaying our hands around. So
cute.
Yeah, if anyone is interested, DM us.
I just remembered that I because we always do the stretching part, like the warm-up part, and then the strength part together. It's like 15 minutes, I guess. And halfway through stretching, because we do like hips and everything, I was like, oh, I have a hole in my pants.
Oh no.
Right on my thigh, like the little parts that you sew together. It was quite like hidden, luckily, because like the fabrics were overlapping each other. But yeah, I need to fix that. And then halfway through, I got so self-conscious because I was right behind the teacher as well. So I put my hand like in front of my thigh area and just like, it's so painful.
Then you hyperfixate on that hole for the entire lesson.
Yes. Luckily, the choreo was on our feet, not on the ground, because then I would have been like extra cautious.
Yeah, because last lesson we did roll around on the floor.
Yeah. But great fun. You said you have a topic that would lead us into
our main topic.
A big topic. So this episode is going to be a big sad.
Yes.
Probably.
Cry.
Maybe cry.
Many tears.
Maybe. We're gonna talk about some sad stuff. We're sorry. We'd had to do it. This was the topic we wanted to share because we think we're so wise and so great.
We have so much experience.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
But just to give a shout out here, we're gonna talk about grief. And we're not professionals. We're just sharing our experiences, thoughts, and some thoughts are just coming from, in my example, like some famous people that have said some great things, and I'm like, yeah, I relate.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the topic that would segue us into the topic. Have you been keeping up with the new Artemis mission?
Kinda. I've been trying to be off the news a bit because there's just a lot happening that I don't know if we need to deep dive into because the world's crazy out there.
Yeah.
So a little bit. I know they made it. I know they are making their way back now. It's the Artemis 2nd. Yeah, and there's a Canadian on the team.
Yeah, and a woman on the team, which is also
which is
great
big.
fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did the round around the moon. They saw the back of the moon, and there was a very bright spot, like a crater, a very bright crater on the moon. I am smart, I promise. Said no smart person ever. But yeah, there was a very bright crater on the moon, and there is a guy on board who sadly lost his wife to cancer, and they decided to name the crater Carol, which was his wife's name.
Yeah.
And it was such a cute moment and video. I saw it this morning while I woke up, like first thing, eyes open. I was like, oh my God. Almost cried. Didn't, thankfully. But sometimes you need to cry. We'll get into that later on. But yeah, I just thought that was such a cute thing and like a very thoughtful thing to like in memory of his wife. His kids apparently were in the mission control room listening to that call and everything. So yeah, sometimes grief can be beautiful as well in those regards.
Way. Yeah, I guess they were like hugging each other. I haven't seen the clip, but I did read about it on the BBC News when I was trying to catch up. Okay, yeah, that is sweet.
Yeah,
that is sweet. Well, thank you for that story. I guess, like the professionals we are, we need to jump in to the grief part. Yeah, what's your story with grief? Sorry.
There's no easy way to go into this topic, so it's like, it's kind of, yeah. I feel like this topic is like very actual to me especially because of 2023. But I've lost quite a few people in my life. I lost my great grandpa when I was like 1 year old, so I don't remember it, but I know that it was from cancer. I lost my great grandma, I would say like a bit over 10 years ago. 12, 13 maybe. I don't know the exact dates, but around that time. That was like my first ever meeting with like death and grief, because I didn't remember any of I had lost pets, but I was so little that even the pets were like, I cried for a day, but then I got over it, because like little brains don't really like register what grief is, right? But yeah, my great grandma was like the first ever hit of me being like, oh, people are not here forever. She sadly she had a stroke, and she was hospitalized for, I would say, 2 to 3 years. And her story was even like harder because she got way better at the end of her life. She was in a care home, and she started remembering everyone and started like going around in her little wheelchair and everything. And like usually a lot of the time, sadly, people get better before they go. And then a few years later, my grandma died. She had cancer. That was also not an easy feat for my entire family, because my grandma was always like, she was a very strict and very like put together woman, and she was like very helpful towards my whole family. So it was kind of like losing this like pillar in our life. and that like kind of also changed my life and my perspective. And I didn't have many people besides my family. Of course, my family was there for me, but I didn't have many people during that time who would be supportive of me going through that, because I was also in a really bad relationship at that time, and everything was going on. And then it took a break for a few years, quite a few years, until 2023, where I experienced grief, I would say, too often for one person. So it started at the end of August 2023. My dog died. She was 9 or 10. I would say a few weeks later, my step grandpa. So I always thought that he was my grandpa, but he was not a blood relative. But I always took him as a grandpa. He was my uncle's dad. He died. So by then I was already so numb from my dog's death that death was kind of like, oh, okay. And then a few months later, my cat died, who was 16. And then I would say like a month later or something, my great uncle died. So it was like death coming like every few months, like knocking at my family's door and being like, oh, I'm taking another person. And now, like looking at my life now, I'm kind of like, I went to therapy for this as well. I feel that all of that grief, I kind of internalized it in myself, and it has like brought me a bit of death anxiety, which we then like later on get into a bit as well. But like in a way that like I kind of have developed OCD like tendencies around death. So for example, I need to fold a blanket a certain way or my grandma will die, and all of that, which is also sadly for a lot of people a side effect of grief that happens, where your brain just switches and is like, oh my god, I don't want this to happen ever again. But yeah, what is your story?
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I don't know if I will get that into detail, but damn, I am no stranger to grief as well. I think what you didn't mention is that you can also grieve relationships.
Yes.
Friendships, relationships, the partner kind.
Yeah. You can also grieve stuff that your anxiety, stuff that your anxiety has robbed you of.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. I feel like it's such a broad topic, actually. Yeah. But I guess we are in the kind that means losing someone, I guess, kind of physically, mentally. For me, I have no grandmas and grandpas left. I didn't know my grandpas because they went before I came to life. But my grandmas I was close with. It was hard, but I feel like I was still young to breeze over it and just kind of see that, okay, your parents are going through it, but you yourself are kind of like, okay, they're not in my life and I will make the adjustments, but it's still hard, but like I will manage. Until my dad passed away randomly, suddenly. And that was life-changing. I think I know it's not a word, but it adulted me up. It brought me up. I don't know, like something. You matured. I matured. Something in me changed for sure, and that happened just like 3 years ago, I guess. So, still grieving, of course. And our family has been always fond of pets, so pet loss is something I don't also take easily. And I guess the biggest one was when I was in high school or before high school, and I lost my dog that like grew up with me since I was 7 years old. And that also happened randomly. I knew she wasn't well, but then I went home from like, because I lived in a dormitory, and then my mom was like, yeah, she's gone. I was like, what do you mean she's gone? Yeah, go put some flowers on her grave. I was like, oh shit, okay. That was a big one for me. So yeah, but yeah, just the fact that it matures you,
it flips something in your brain,
is eye-opening. I don't think it's even like, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to you, you're not comparing yourself to me, it's not comparable.
No.
I think the emphasis on that is that it's so different. Everyone lives through it so differently. And I guess bit by bit we will just go through our thoughts on that.
Yeah.
I guess what I would mention is just like the official meanings if someone maybe is confused what we're talking about. So myhelpguide.org tells me, not ChatGPT, I actually Googled stuff. Grief is a natural response to loss. It's the emotional suffering you feel when something or someone you love is taken away. Often the pain of loss can feel overwhelming. You may experience all kinds of difficult and unexpected emotions, from shock or anger to disbelief, guilt, and profound sadness. And how do you feel about the stages of grief as well?
I actually looked into it, and I didn't know this, but apparently the lady who came up with the 5 stages, and I'm gonna butcher the name, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Okay.
She originally meant it for people facing their own death and not necessarily the loved ones around you dying. So the stages, if you don't know, listening, the stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And even though it says that she originally wrote this about facing your own death, I do think it still goes for the death of a loved one or a pet, or like the loss of someone in regards to relationship, friendship. It still goes for all of that as well. It's not only about oneself. So yeah, I do agree with the stages, because I think every time I've gone through a loss, be it like someone dying or like something ending, there is still the initial steps of like, oh no, it's not happening, and then you're angry that it's happening, and like all of those. So I do think that is a thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I guess just what I remembered is like with anger, because I was like, I can't be angry at my dad for like passing away. It just happened. But you can be. You're angry of like things maybe he didn't take good care of himself. Angry at yourself that you didn't go when, I don't know, he asked you to maybe come home or whatever. Angry that you didn't do this and that. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes you think you can't do it, but you're like, oh, okay, actually you can be angry.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I would say healing, grieving is not linear at all. You cannot, or maybe some people can, power through it. Yeah. You never know how long one stage will take. Yeah. What it takes to get through it. Yeah. So definitely remind yourself that it's not linear. What would you say is something that helps you? How do you get through it?
I think the main things, like when it happens, the initial stages at least, it's definitely to cry. Because I used to be the person of like, oh, I need to be strong for my mom because her mom passed, and I need to be strong for this person or that person, and like, oh, I cannot cry, it's gonna make me weak. I've learned a lot from those experiences, and especially in the recent years, that you're allowed to cry. You should cry when like, not only even in the initial stages of losing someone or something. I think you should cry even if that thought hits you out of the blue somewhere. Like, I don't know, you're laying in bed and you're reminded of a situation or a person or whatever, right? You should cry, because crying is the body's way of releasing the emotion that is stuck in you, right? And also something that I have learned in the last few years, and that I now also truly stand by, is when you have those thoughts of a moment. For example, for me, it's a lot of the times of the last few moments of my dog, because they were quite traumatic. They were not pretty. They were not they were not great. Sometimes those thoughts just hit me out of the blue. For example, I'm just laying in bed ready to sleep, and then I get those visual images. You should always let those thoughts, those images, everything wash over you. You should never push them away out of your brain. You need to have those feelings come and go. That is the only way that it will. I don't want to say it gets better, because
in the end it does. Maybe,
but I would say that it gets not as frequent if you let those thoughts and feelings come over you. Because when I was like also looking up about grief and everything, the thing you said, that it's not linear, and also that me saying that I don't think it ever gets better. I think it just gets less frequent. There was a good analogy of a ball. So if you imagine a ball in a box, it's a big ball that keeps hitting a button because it's so big it's stuck in a box. This is grief when it first happens. You're losing someone, something, and it keeps hitting the button of grief, right?
Mm-hmm.
But over time, the ball gets smaller. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that it stops hitting the button,
Mm-hmm.
but it just hits the button less frequently because it's smaller. So I would think that that is a very good analogy for grief, because it never goes away. It just becomes less frequent, and your body learns to handle it less painfully.
Yes. Okay, I have so many thoughts, but I guess continuing on the ball or the metaphor of it all. If anyone watches Royal Court with
I was
Brittany
about to
Broski,
bring the same exact example.
yeah, from
Dove Cameron.
Dove Cameron,
Mhm.
yeah. She had beautiful thoughts.
Oh yeah.
I guess we mean the same, the museum metaphor.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have it, I guess, quote unquote. What I wrote down is that if your life was a museum and you keep opening doors and experiences, then grief is a heavy door that once opened fills the air with it all. So you keep knocking down those doors and there's still that same air filled with grief. Why did it say air? Air.
Air.
Like in an accent, air.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, she, like, I wrote it quite, like, quote unquote down almost,
Hit
because
us.
she said your whole life experience is like a museum. You're knocking down the drywall, you're expanding your life, your vision of yourself is getting amplified, exploring yourself. Grief is like a big heavy door, like you said, with one of the biggest rooms. Once you open it, you can't close it. The air filling the room is now everywhere, like a drop of blood in a glass of water.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes.
that's... I love that we were on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Because I saw that and I was like, oh, we're recording a grief podcast.
Yes,
And I was like,
oh my god, that's so
immediately.
good. Yeah. Yeah, I heavily relate to that. I think that's a beautiful thought. What I would like to add to your experiences, I guess, is I wrote down thoughts popping up randomly, which I guess is for both. If you lost someone close to you, if you lost a relationship, whatever, yeah, you just gotta let those thoughts come through, go through you, let them linger, give them a moment, and just go. I think what was most like a learning curve for me, or the most shocking, is how not even frequently they come up, but how random they can be.
Yeah.
You can be totally fine in a parking lot listening to your music, and then the second minute you are bawling your eyes out because you remembered something about your dad. Like I just remembered that I went shopping for food. I was listening to music. Bad Bunny was blasting, and then I remembered something about my dad, and there I was crying while Bad Bunny was like, and that was such a diabolical moment. But I was like, okay, that's grief in its beauty and disgust or whatever. It's Bad Bunny blasting in my ears while I'm thinking about my dad because something triggered me.
It's like the metaphor, if you get into a car crash, the music still keeps playing.
Yeah.
So it's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Yeah. And another thought was signs of someone leaving. I don't know if you've had that or if you've noticed. I think once you've processed the trauma of someone dying and then burying them, sorry for being so straight about it, but I think me and my family think back to my dad, and my mom, I think, brought up that like there were like spiritual signs kind of. He was happy to be home because he went in his own home, which I guess is a blessing in that sense. He told everyone around him that he loved them. He cared about them. Even my cousin was like, yeah, the last time we chatted, he was like, oh, I love you, take care. And he was just like, he's a regular guy that says I love you often, but not too often. So that was like a bit that stood out. And he was, like meeting people, kind of hugging them, keeping them close. And now when you think back at it, you're like, damn, did like his soul know something? Was he like preparing? I mean, I guess we'll never know. But yeah, I guess maybe it's also like a comforting thought.
Yeah.
And as you go with grief, there's just so many comforting thoughts that you will build for yourself to just kind of manage it all and think that like he's up on the clouds, he's looking over me, it's gonna be fine. He's, I don't know, the bread provided for my table is his doing, whatever. No, am I talking about Jesus or my dad? Don't know.
I mean, someone will figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do believe that like seeing those signs and like believing in those signs, we should still do it, because we are just tiny specks on the earth, like figuring out life as we go. We don't know what is real and what is not real. If you think about it, like we probably will never know what is real and what is not real in this world. So if you believe in that quote unquote like magic or whatever you want to call it, I think you should believe it if it makes you feel better as well. For example, for me, it's after my grandma died, and even I think after my great grandma died, but we had a butterfly in our house constantly, even during winter. Butterflies don't live long. It was the same butterfly all the time in our house, and we decided that we are gonna this is grandma visiting. That's why I got my butterfly tattoo as well, was because like
cute.
After my grandma died, we always kept seeing that one butterfly, right? So making those ties and like thinking like, oh, they're over here like watching over me. I don't think it's unhealthy. I think it's actually very healthy, and it's helping you cope, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's some facts behind it, like guardian angels, someone watching over you. I've felt that from time to time, and we will have a spiritual episode, or we should, where we can talk about this. But yeah, do you well, because I mean, okay, not comparing and not leveling up, but I guess Dad is like a close circle person, right? I mean, it could also be a close friend. You can be like growing up with your grandma, etc. I feel that like since he passed, I've taken over some characteristics of his, where I'm like, now all the funniness that he didn't use up, I have to be the funny one. I have to use it up, or I don't know, like not the head of the house, but personally, I feel that I was like the pillar in my household because my mom lost a best friend, a partner, everything. She was a mess. My sister was also, of course, super out of it. But I felt like I cried a lot, of course. It was a heavy loss, but somehow I tried to bring the funnies or just some strength into the family household.
Yeah.
And in some part of me, it's like, I think it was like my dad giving me the power, or just kind of being like, she's got this, she's strong, she's a baddie, so she can do this.
I mean, it goes back to the like believing in the signs and the spirituality of it all. I think like if you believe it, you should believe that it's that, right?
For sure.
But yeah, like being the pillar, I vividly remember the same thing of like my family had already gone through like a couple of rough patches, and then after my grandma died, I do feel that like all of that also, I think I even told this to my partner when we had one of our like first like talks, is that I feel I have always been my family's like wall, like the pillar, the one holding everyone up. And it's been only in the recent years when I've realized that like, oh, I can also lean on others. Like I don't constantly have to be the pillar to hold everything together. Like my parents are adults, my brother is an adult, like my grandma is an adult. I don't need to always be like, oh, am I doing enough? Am I checking in enough? Am I providing enough for like everyone? But it also comes from losing stuff, like whether it be a person or like a period in your family life or a relationship or whatever. It comes with it, I believe.
Yeah, I relate to that. I can stand by that because same. I guess we've yapped quite a bit about it, but just maybe last thoughts, or like the generic thing that I want to say is that everybody is different. Everybody grieves differently. So if someone is laughing through it, let them. Maybe that helps them. If someone is crying, be there for them, support them. But if we're talking about, I guess, like a little bit parasocial relationships and losing someone big, an idol, something, as a One Direction girly, okay? Losing Liam was hard.
Did you know that they took his name to space with Artemis? To the moon?
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. Beautiful. And of course, a fan base like One Direction has, there's got to be some parasocial relationships, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But I guess it must be, I mean, famous person, it's hard being a famous person. Of course it is. But like, it must be so diabolical to go through grief publicly while millions of people expect a lot from you.
Yeah.
And I got myself as well, like when Liam passed, we were all waiting for those Instagram posts of like the guys doing a remembrance thing.
Yeah.
Why? Let them grieve, let them be. And now they're slowly speaking up about it, that this wasn't okay. I know that Harry has been getting a lot of hate because he was kind of like, I don't remember what he said, but he was kind of like not disregarding, but gently like rolled over it, not making it into a big thing. I'm sure it was a big thing for us. He just doesn't have to share his grief with us like that. Like, why are we expecting people to grieve in a certain way? It's kind of crazy. It makes you think. And yeah, we just put a lot of like expectations or limits to other people about like how they should act or what they should do.
It comes down to that every person grieves different, and like
exactly.
they are such big figures in like in the public, in pop culture. They did it on their own terms, like. And then if you bring the example of Liam and his like girlfriend, for example, there's also like so much hate around her of like, oh, she's milking the death, she's milking the grief, like she's like talking about Liam everywhere. Like, let the girl grieve. Like you're giving hate to his old bandmates not showing up or like, you know, like posting or like talking about it. But then the person who was closest to him, I would say, during all of that, speaking up about it and like openly grieving and like coping with it by posting about it, which a lot of people would like condemn it, but I think if it's your way of coping, go ahead and cope like that, right? We're hating on that poor girl who probably is also having a very rough time over it all. So people will be mean and like not like things regardless.
Yeah I mean, not gonna lie, even I've got myself being suspicious about her.
Yeah.
Because she keeps popping up on my feed and I'm like, because some of her posts are a bit like, But hey, can't judge, shouldn't judge. And yeah. Do you have any points, any topics you want to bring up? Because for closing, I just have the keys to helping a loved one who's grieving, maybe.
Yeah,
some thoughts.
I actually have the same here. We were really on the same
pages.
Same page, yeah. But yeah, the how to help a friend basically who's grieving. One of my dear friends lost her grandpa. I think last year or the year before, and I remember vividly that I, of course, like offered my condolences to her, and like her and I have like this like great relationship with like if one of us needs anything, we know that we are at the beck and call, basically. Like, yeah, I'll come. She was the person who came to the pet emergency clinic, and like she literally, it was 2 a.m. She drove up to the clinic like to be with us. And I remember like when her grandpa died, I remember just checking up on her. And then I vividly remember us driving. I think we went to a like plant shop or something. And she said that like she really appreciates if people are not like constantly like, oh my God, are you good? How are you? Like, oh, so sad. Like, can I do anything for you? She doesn't like it. She actually appreciated the fact that, like, for example, I was not pushing it. I offered my condolences. I said I'm there for her. She could come to me whenever, and didn't push it any longer or anymore, right? What I'm trying to say with this is I think if someone around you has lost someone, ask them how would you like what would be the best way for you, for me to be here for you. Some people find it a burden to be like, let me know if you need anything. Some people want you to straight up be like, hey, I'm bringing dinner on this evening. Do you want to come? Like, do you want pizza or pasta, for example, or whatever, right? Ask your friends. It's never bad to ask, like, I'm sorry that you're going through this tough time. How would you like me to, like, be there for you? Do you want a friend who is constantly checking up on you, or do you want to be left on your own terms? Of course, with your closest friends, you will already know. You will know how this friend would act in these situations, and you will already go by that. But, like, if you don't know, ask. Because otherwise, how will you know, right?
How will you know? If they're in the mood to share, hopefully, of course.
Yeah.
I think, I agree with your stuff. Just 2 points that I would like to briefly bring out is that understand that everyone grieves differently and for different lengths of time. I think I've said that like 3 times in this episode.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah.
Now, trying to like think what I needed at the time, I guess, was someone to listen, someone to just be there, someone to kind of hold you up, and to accept that life goes on. Hardly, sadly, not hardly, whatever. It's a hard fact to accept. Everyone's lives just continues as normal. But maintain your support after the funeral.
Oh, yeah.
It's inevitable that even in families drift apart. You lose contact. They think you're fine. They don't know. You don't want to burden them or share as well. But those that are listening, keep checking in. Offer your support. Sometimes if it's soft landing, bring it up as a topic, like, hey, do you want to share your best moments about your grandma, grandpa? And listen when they speak, when they start off with like, yeah, my dad used to do that, or yeah, my grandpa was like that. Just listen and understand that is the part where they're handling their grief.
Yeah, I agree. Because I also have written down like that support usually vanishes after the funeral, which you brought up, right?
Yeah.
And like it says as well that discuss the importance of checking in 3, 6, or 12 months later. So constantly checking in.
Yeah.
Also, what I have written down is that most people avoid mentioning the name of the person who died. This should also not be the case, because often hearing the name is already a gift in itself. Like, it's like brings comfort to the person hearing the name of the person or pet or whatever who has died. And then the comparison thing that you said as well, like everyone grieves different. I also wrote down that there is no hierarchy of grief. Losing a pet, a job, or a lifestyle is valid, and it's like, it's real. It's not, there's no openly acknowledged type of grief by society that this is the only perfect type of grief that should happen. Everyone grieves differently. I've heard so much, for example, when pets have died, that like, oh, it was just a pet. Okay, but to me, no.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
It was a family member to me. Like, no.
Exactly.
So never like, what's the word that I'm looking for? I've completely lost it.
I would say, like, don't underestimate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, don't underestimate it. Don't compare.
Yeah, exactly.
Speak from experience, and if you don't have experience, learn.
Yeah, listen and learn.
Yeah. Ugh. In essence, grief is such a good topic. Like, I feel so much has been like left unsaid. Maybe if we deep dive into the spiritual episode, we can like intertwine it with the thoughts. But beautiful thoughts. And I think we conjured the sun out.
Yeah, the sun came out.
What happened? It was super rainy all day, and now it's sunny. So
it's the loved ones.
It must be the loved ones. Yeah. Do we feel ready to jump into the book corner?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do that.
What are you bringing to the table?
Well. I've been reading John Gwynn's Malice. Like, I think I talked about last episode that I finished The Throne of Glass, and then I read a few individual books, and now I'm stepping into another fantasy series. This was heavily requested by my partner. He read all of the 4 books, and he was like, you need to read this. I am almost done with the first book. It's good. I can see the hype around it. I can see why he loved it, but there's parts where I'm like, oh, this is so good, this is so interesting, but then there's parts that I'm like, I wish that, like, I don't like this chapter. This chapter, I want this character to come back again because I like this character. So I'm very on the fence about it. I have very differentiated different views of it. I don't know.
Yeah, like the easy way.
Yeah. So I think I guess I will update everyone once I've actually finished the first book if I will continue with the second book. But so far I'm like, it's good, but I don't think it's like my flavor of fantasy and my flavor of book. John Gwynn is a very good author.
Okay.
If you're into like high fantasy and like more of this like, this more like Game of Thrones-esque, then definitely give it a go. It's definitely a good book for those readers, but at the moment I don't know my stance on it yet. So yeah, I've been stuck on that book. Okay. So not much to update on my side.
Well, then we have something in common because we can talk about Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Yeah.
By Gabrielle Zevine. I don't know. Girl, whatever your name is out there, I'm sure you're great. You read it when?
I can actually tell you right away. Me opening Goodreads.
Yeah, while you search, I guess. I finished it last month, and basically it's a story about gamer people who are building a game, and you're seeing like a snippet of their life as they go through friendship, relationships, miscommunications, joy, sadness, grief.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read it last February.
Yeah. Okay.
February. Started February. Why is it like this? Started February 9th, I believe. And finished February 22nd.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it was also like a few weeks to just read it. So it was a good book. It kept you going, that's for sure. But it had some great thoughts about grief as well, because there was like a heavy loss, no spoilers, throughout the book, near the end of the book. And yeah, I mean, what the conclusion is, it focuses on the repetitive, endurance-based nature of pain, the necessity of creating new memories, and the longing to rewrite tragic outcomes. Yeah, any specific thoughts from the book?
I just remember that I picked it up because at first I was like, people are raving about it. I don't know anything about it. Let me just like read it. And I'm just checking on my Bookstagram like what I wrote about it. And what I basically said is that, and in the end I said, what I loved most about this book was how it mirrored life itself. There was no obvious linear path or dramatic high-stakes climax, just a beautifully honest portrayal of the messiness and beauty of human existence. It was refreshing to read something that felt so authentic and unforced, something that touched topics like love and creativity in a very raw way. And that is something that has stayed with me with the book as well. It's very, very authentic, very raw. Like there was no like sugarcoating anything. It was very like as it is in life. You were reading someone's life. It's a bit like A Little Life was, where it was like you were like stepping into someone's life, looking at it like a fly on the wall, like reading about someone going through.
Yeah, definitely. I did have beef with the main character, Sadie, because of the miscommunications. They were so dumb sometimes that I was like, God damn, please. But on this fun little website, griefsucks.com, they like rate books and movies that handle grief in different ways. And about tomorrow, they say, the beauty of this book is that it perfectly captures the notion that everyone grieves in different ways for both different things and shared tragedies, as we've said. Except it shows us and doesn't tell us what grief looks like. It shows Sadie, one of the characters, being unable to leave bed. It shows Sam, another character, pushing to find normalcy and routine. It shows moments of shared laughter when remembering their person. I think that's beautifully said. And it did have like good quotes. I didn't mark them down. Also, I read it in Estonian, so I feel like now the quotes don't relate as much. But what I could find was, and I quote, "We are, for as long as we are here, only love, the things we loved, the people we loved, and these, I think, these really do live on."
Yeah. I really like that quote. I think I even vaguely remember it when I was reading it. It really stuck with me. There was a lot of quotes in that book that were good. Yeah. Because I was checking as well, like, for example, like me as a creative person, like on the topic of grief it touched, but it also touched on the creativity and like being creative in a world where it's like, especially nowadays, it's so fast paced, and like a completely different topic for another episode that we can do about like how being creative and like social media and everything nowadays affects young people's lives in that regard, right? And AI and everything. But for example, the quote of like, if you're always aiming for perfection, you won't make anything at all, was something that I was like, oh, this is what I struggle with. I always try to make everything perfect, but like perfect does not exist, right? And then also with loving, like, and what is love in the end? Alabaster said, except the irrational desire to put evolutionary competitiveness aside in order to ease someone else's journey through life. It was also like one of the quotes that was like, I love that. I love that quote.
Yeah. Truly, yeah. I mean, what a beautiful way to end this episode.
Yeah.
I love that we get so many ideas throughout the episode of like, oh, we should talk about that. And then 2 weeks before we record, we're like,
what should we record about?
I have no idea. But no, our list is growing. We are continuing.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks for sharing for these beautiful thoughts. I hope we didn't bring a mellow mood.
Yeah.
But maybe, you know, if you go on your little spring walk, you can have a thought within yourself if you are okay, if people around you are okay. And maybe it's a good distraction of everything will be fine.
Yeah.
We hope.
Life goes on.
Unfortunately, life does go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are on Spotify. We are on YouTube.
YouTube Music as well now.
YouTube Music as well. And we'll try to do our best to continue on and yeah, listen to us, share with a friend or a stranger.
Share your stories with us.
Yeah. And let us know if this resonated. If you disagree fully, we're down to fight. And yeah, if you have any recommendations of stories you want to hear, then let us know as well.
Yes.
Our DMs are open. Our email is open.
And it's always in the bio.
Yes. Well, take care.
Catch you next time.